We'll return to this. Hello, Core. Welcome. We'll return to this wonderful octopath after the fact, not to immediately just drop the energy floor completely out, but we'll try to roll with it. So let's see. Last we visited the campaign log, the last entry I'm sorry for the webcam shake. The last entry that we put in place, the party had ventured forth from Eden, their home city. They were headed out to kill a demigod, as you do. They're high on their kill of the previous one, the self-made snake god Explicita Defilis. And they were on their way to kill Salamander, whose forces had pushed up towards Eden and gotten threateningly close, a mere 60 miles away or so, threatening kind of the last fort up this way from Eden. And so the party had this thought. They were talking to the council, and the side piece here is that the Emperor died some time ago, and people are kind of unhappy about that. The council of the city has been ruling in the Emperor's stead, but people have kind of been back and forth on whether this is a good thing. And with like an enemy army pushing up all this way, they were like, maybe they're not doing such a good job. Let's try to find a successor to the Emperor as fast as we can. And the council was trying to figure out what to do about this. And the party said, hey, we have the snakehead. We just killed a demigod. We could do another one, or someone could do another one. It's possible. It doesn't have to be us. And whoever brings that head back, they could become the Emperor of Eden. And the council voted on this. They voted 5-4? That sounds right. 5-4, that was a good idea. And so it was proclaimed that whoever shall slay Salamander and bring back his head, they will become the Emperor. So that was the preamble to them heading up northeast. They were originally going to just a beeline right. They kind of know that Salamander's on this island. He's not being extremely private. And they were originally going to beeline right up there. They were going to take the road till right about here, just make a pit stop in Green Rock Hill, and then figure out a way to get to the island from there. They kind of decided to stop. They learned that there was the Eden forces here were going to push. There's a bandit camp here. You can't see it on the map because it's a very temporary fortification. The Eden forces were going to push in and try to upheave this bandit camp. Get rid of it. Set it ablaze. Although Salamander is a demigod of fire, there was already a lot of fire around, so a blaze might. They wanted to get rid of it. So the party was like, hey, let's help with that. We could get some more clout if we went in and we took out this lieutenant, the Burning Man. He's not a man at all. He was a flaming werewolf devil, just to make him extremely edgelord. We're doing pretty well. People like us right now. Let's see if we can get them to like us more. And they also heard that kind of a rival named Brass was also kind of this very strong mercenary, was going to go in with his mercenary company as part of this move and like defeat the boss. Meant this to be really short, but it's kind of gotten long. So their plan to bump this up a little bit was to kind of scout out the bandit camp, sneak in, slay the boss before Brass could get there. That was their plan. They headed up this way to like get a flank on the bandit camp, get some exploration done, and found kind of a group of outriders who had like set up camp in a little cave there. Hello, Michael. Welcome, and thank you for the bits, PogChamp. Thank you, and thanks for stopping by. Yeah. So they found this camp. They were like, they had some clothes from a previous encounter with Salamander's forces, and they wore those, took those pins and emblems and robes, and were like, they walked in the cave and they were like, yo, we're forces of Salamander too. Fancy meeting you here. And they rolled good deception checks, as you do. And the outriders in the cave were like, all right, seems good. Sit down, play a game, have some drinks with us. Let's hang out. And long story short, they found out that, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's less of a big deal than that, but I am sure he will point you in the right direction either way. Yeah, that sounds like a whole day. I didn't know. Yeah. So yeah, they got buddy with these guys and found out that basically there were some outriders that were all like they were part of a group of several other groups that were going to flank kind of this military action attacking the bandit camp, and they were going to try to take out the leadership, which is shockingly similar to the plan that the party made with, with the general and the lieutenant general at Green Rock Hill. So a little bit of a mirroring going on there. They found that out. They said, hey, let's poison all these guys. We've got like half their party here. Let's poison them, and then we'll wait for the other ones to get back, and we'll ambush. And that's where we left the previous session. So then this last session that we actually played, we started off with an ambush oh my god, wow, thank you for the bits. I'm sorry I don't have any custom I'm sorry I don't have any custom alerts at all for bits yet. I am not used to getting any, so thank you though. Where are the alerts at? Can you not hear the alerts? They were up here. Oh, you mean the custom alerts? That's fair. That's a fair question. I'm sorry. This will be something I will work on in the future when I come up with clever things to put in. I'm not on Core's level. Yet. That's fair, I guess. That's fair. You had gifts really fast, even if you didn't have sounds. True, yeah. Yeah, right now they would all be Pathfinder stuff. One, I might steal like the Deus Fault thing, and that's the only thing I've thought of so far. Anyway, so there was this ambush. I made this like way too party favored, I think, but maybe I don't know. It's kind of how it was supposed to be. So you see the bodies here of the poisoned folks. They were given Wolfsbane, which is not a particularly pleasant poison to die to. It does a whole lot of d6s. Whole lot of d6s for each stage. So then they like hung out in the corners here, waiting for these bugbears. They knew that it was. They saw like wolf tracks. They knew it was probably bugbears and some like wargs, or goblin dogs or something. So they hung out. They waited for them to come in. They got a full like surprise round. Everyone had a ready to action that they were able to fire off as soon as people entered, which I think is fair. What might have balanced it out a little bit is if I was like, all right, what is your trigger? Because what I did is I went down the initiative list. I was like, all right, Eve, you go first. What was your held action? All right, Solus, Sonus, Ludwig, one after the other. And so they ended up kind of like targeting different people and spots, which that's probably what the actually overpowered thing was. If I just said, what's your trigger? And their trigger was like, guy steps right here, and then they all fire at the first bugbear that enters, that's a little less broken. So I'll probably actually pay attention to the ready to action rules in the future and not let them like switch targets. So yeah, there was that. They got annihilated. Everything but like one bugbear and two wolves got annihilated in that first opening round. So that was kind of the first time we saw everyone's like new. They got back to town and like spent a bunch of money. Spent a bunch of money on like new weapons and armor, and this is the first time we kind of saw it all pop off. It was pretty impressive. I initially made this encounter worse than it is. I made it a severe encounter, so there was like basically everything was one level up to begin with, and I was like, this is gonna be a hard encounter. But then I thought about it after the prep stream, and I was like, no, they just like killed half the party here. They just like did some very tactical actions. I should like say that it was going to be a severe encounter if they didn't do this. Like if the other folks came back, like the whole group of enemies was a severe encounter. And without without the party here, it was just like a regular encounter, basically. So I ended up nerfing it really last minute, taking off like a hit die from everything, taking off like 2 points on their attack bonus. And yeah, and a little off their AC, another like 1 or 2 points off AC. So made it quite a bit easier to kind of reward the fact that they like split the group like this. And yeah, so then after that, they kind of sat down and they were like, I gave them a pretty heavy hint of like, we were talking about recaps. And I was like, it's helpful for me. They were making fun of me for wanting a recap this time. And it was like, it's helpful for me to know what you guys remember. For instance, if you remember that, these guys literally said that they're going to flank and try to like murder your leadership, including your brother. And the party was like, oh, actually, no, we don't remember that. Maybe these recaps are kind of important. So they sat around, they talked about that for a little while, and Eve decided, hey, no, this is kind of lame, but let's save my brother. Let's talk to him. Let's warn him what's going on. And they headed back to Green Rock Hill, the fort they were at. I should move this party token. That's where the bandit camp is. So they headed back to Green Rock Hill. They talked to Eve's brother, who was like, yo, what are you doing back? What's this about? No problem, Michael. I'm sorry I'm not responding much. I usually kind of hammer through this recap stuff, and then I kind of like drop a bunch of things, and then I kind of go into a more conversing back and forth thing when I get to the prep portion. So sorry if it seems like I'm ignoring you. I'm actually just ignoring everyone. I'm reading everything. But yeah, not responding to most of it, as you have seen. But no, yeah, feel free to put the story. I've been curious too. So thank you, Core, for asking about that. So yeah, they talked to the Lieutenant General. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for the bits. Yeah, I drop stuff. Like, I focus a little better when I have stuff to play with in my hand, like this pen thing. And, something that literally like was still on the floor last time I dropped it. There's like a cover. There's like, those wire holes. This is going to be a tangent. There are those wire holes on desks. I have one of those wire holes where like the holes go through and there's like a cap that makes it look very aesthetic. It like covers the hole and makes sure other stuff doesn't drop down. So I play with literally this pen and that wire cap all the time. And every time I drop both of them on stream before the stream's over. Sometimes I can pretend it didn't happen. Sometimes it's extremely obvious. But yeah. I added a second pen too. I have a second drop pen. And they look similar. So I'm covered on the stealth drop if I need it. So yeah. They talked to the Lieutenant General. They warned him, and he was like, oh, thank you. Pen drop emotes? Could be in the future. Yeah, they talked to Eve's brother, warned him about this stuff, and they decided that they were just going to, like, hang out and protect the general in the fight the next day. They weren't going to go after the boss. They were going to protect the leadership and then move on once the Outriders had been dealt with, once the flanking party had been taken care of. And we'll see that this was like the smart move, right? I got a lot of comments from viewers and like players being like, this was kind of easy. What was the deal here? Why'd this go so smoothly? And I was like, well, you literally picked the smart safe option, which I'll kind of explain when we get to the battle map. But yeah, the other kind of the other thing that happened here is they were like marching out to the fight the next day, and showing that like Eve's brother was just as ambitious and like schemy as Eve. He was like showing off, the actual general saw, like the guy above Eve's brother, saw that the party had come back and that they were like marching out with them. And he was like, what's the deal here? This isn't going according to plan. And Eve's brother was like, oh, don't you worry about this. Don't Don't let it bother you. I just got some information. I just got some information that, that you missed, that we were going to get flanked. These guys provided me this extra information, and I've taken care of it. So you just relax and see how it goes. So the general is kind of grumpy about this, but let it go. And then they got to the combat, which was this big old set piece that now has a bunch of units deleted, and it'll probably take just a minute to load. You can see there's already a little slaughter fest up here, and that's what came for these guys, which is like not a huge so lag, not a huge problem for the party, but more of a problem if the party wasn't there. Which is kind of the point. So it's just a bunch of like bugbears riding wargs. Kind of scary. They didn't come all at once. It was like half and then another half in like a second wave, like after the first round, maybe the second round. And then yeah, so these guys moved in. They were hard focusing the general and Eve's brother. They weren't like attacking the party too much, so it was kind of easy to take them down. But the general did almost die. Like if he went under 0, I was just gonna say that if someone knocks him down, there's a good chance that they have 2 more attacks left or 1 more attack. Like the way Pathfinder 2e works, there's you have easy access to additional attacks, and the thing that prevents you from using them is that like if you fail, it gets harder to hit every time. So like if your attack bonus is +10, you swing for 1 attack, you swing for a second attack, that second attack is at -5, so like +5 total, using the relative math there, right? Cuts it in half, cuts your bonus in half. They swing again, it's at a +0, like they lose another 5. So like it gets really easy to critically miss, and that's kind of the danger of just multi-attacking all day. But if you knock someone down, you probably have an extra attack to like finish them off, technically. Which isn't something I'd use against the players, really, but it is something I would use against a general that these guys thank you again, oh my god. Why are you giving me bits for Lynn's IQ? Thank you, though. Where was I? General almost died, they almost coup de grace him. That was the point. They were going to get that auto crit on him if he got knocked down, but he did not. The party kept him up just barely. He literally survived with 1 attack with like 1 HP. And then, yeah, so the party finished with this. The army, the players spent like a little bit of time at the start of the fight making things easier for the army up here too. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, guys. So generous today. Although, maybe this is manipulative to say, but I suspect that something about that was motivated by slipping it in before Cam could get to it. And thank you again for the bits. Linstream when? That's a good question. Yeah, Lynn's been streaming. Lynn's been playing Heavy Rain and probably some other stuff soon. Maybe, what's it called? Cora, what's the game? 2 Souls, Beyond 2 Souls. Potentially that on Core Stream, which I think has a link in my description and should have a command, but I don't have it yet. Command add core HDG. Let's do all the things. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate the bits. I'm bad at handling this stuff so far, but thank you. Nightbot, did I fuck it up? Did I fuck up the command add thing? Guys, I don't know how to do this. I usually just add it directly. Did I? All right, hold on. Oh, I know what I did. I know what I did. Right, hold on. Let me just test. No, okay, command add core. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna go ahead and say, Cam, you do this, because you probably, yeah, I just suck. All right, it's fine, moving on. Not so attractive when it's complete commands? There's an S on it? That should be, okay, that's fine. There should be a mask that makes command add and commands add the same thing. IMO, but that's fine. It's fine. It's not my bot. So they murdered a bunch of wolves and bugbears, dire wolves, wargs, and saved both the general and the lieutenant general, which got them some bonus experience that got factored in later. They were successful in that objective, and then they kind of marched on in. Like I said, they spent some spells and some actions like making things easier for the army as they pushed up. There was like a fireball that got launched into the middle of this crowd over here. Thank you, Cam. I appreciate it. And then, yeah. So the army was mostly done cleaning up the outside by the time the party got to move in. And there was like a sorcerer up here that, like, you know, folks walked up. The bard in the party, Solus, counterspelled the fireball that was being cast, basically, and protected the army from that. So good moves all around from the bard. The bard is pretty strong when you're chilling with an entire army. Thank you, Cam, and hello, Aki. I didn't see you there. Oh, what the? Wait, what's going? I didn't. Okay, y'all can ignore that. I should make that harder to activate. But yes, you feel free to ignore. Cause I'm gonna try my best. Cause I got a show to continue. Party moved in, as I was saying several times. Eve went right in as she does to engage the Burning Man. The lieutenant here, as the rest of the party kind of spread out. They're helping different folks. Ludwig went over here to help clear out some of this stuff. They figured out pretty quickly. Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate. I think it's, yeah. Thank you, anonymous gifter. You don't have to. You really don't. really, oh my god, Commander Root. Commander Root gets the sub. That's a bot, right? Anyway. So, it was split up like... They figured out pretty quickly that Burning Man, every round, as we discussed in my other prep stream, he just kind of like points to one of his allies and is like... Oh, I forgot what his line was. Forgot what his first line was, but he points to them and he like basically makes them turn into a flaming werewolf, similar to him, as is his ability. So kind of the culmination of like a side story, a little bit of a B plot that's been going on that got tied in here. Kind of an accident, if I'm being honest, but it just worked out that way. So every round, he makes a burning werewolf, which is much more threatening than a regular goblin. So it split up such that Ludwig was kind of like helping take out some of the side folks over here to limit his options on where he pops up another werewolf. And Sonus ended up here, like just fighting every werewolf that popped up, just like tanking them, going at him like a beast. And Solus helped him out, supported Sonus a lot while fighting the werewolves, while Eve worked with Brass, that kind of a rival mercenary I mentioned, to take out Burning Man. And this part was pretty easy. Burning Man had some cool like AoE fire abilities, but the party came a little prepared with some stuff that I made too strong. some hot air resistance potions that shouldn't really work against fire, but I was like, we'll make it work here, and it won't work later against Salamander. So Eve wasn't taking like the so the extra stuff I'm gonna like turn back on after the recap portion when I'm more chill. But it'll be there. Oh, it's fine. Oh man, I'm more nervous about like the impromptu session, like Tower of the Moon stuff than actually the thing. But yeah, so It took a few rounds to take down the Burning Man. He had a lot of health. He was dishing out some damage. He took out most of Brass's men pretty quickly. But even Brass were kind of able, Eve and Brass were able to take down Burning Man without too much trouble. And yeah, there's not really much to say. There was a point where Eve was like, go ahead and leave. I have this. And then immediately like took a bunch of damage. And Brass was like, I don't think you have this. And stuck around and got the finishing kill, basically, on the Burning Man. And then, like, you know, they killed him. Fight was basically over. They started to, like, take down the werewolves, but they all de-transformed, like, the round after. The next round that would have been Burning Man's turn, all of the werewolves went back to their original, like, goblin forms, mostly unconscious. And so Eden's forces took the camp and rounded up all of, like, the leftover soldiers who didn't escape from Salamander's army. And then we handled some loot and experience stuff, although not all the loot. I'll be doing that kind of at the start of the next session, so you'll see that done then. One thing that kind of made Eve a little mad is that Brass just, after he got the killing blow, he immediately healed all of his soldiers and friendos, and then he leaned down and he picked up Burning Man's +1, +2, +? Striking burning sword, and just took it. Just grabbed that, left everything else, but grabbed the sword, and then like walked away with his men. There was some back and forth that we'll go over in a sec, I guess. Ludwig found this like black ever-burning ember that he was cleverly able to make less ever-burning by sucking up all of the oxygen in like a... he put it in like... He extinguished it momentarily with an ice spell, and then he put it in a vial, and it kind of like consumed all of the oxygen in the vial and petered out. My first hype train level 1 emote. Core gets so many like... so many wild hype trains that go all the way up to 5. All I have are the unicorns. I actually kind of want some of the lower ones. I want those Oni. I want the hype Onis. So I did. I appreciate you guys ignoring it. That was actually my true motivation, was the emotes that I don't have. So that's close to the end of the session. There was some stuff that if I point out might make it a little too obvious, but let's put it this way. Eve thought that Brass was very familiar, and Sonus took a moment to confirm, like, kind of a rumor that he'd heard about Brass. Asked him a question about, like, having claim to the throne of Eden. And Brass just said, like, yo, I prefer to be judged based on what I do, not where I come from. And continued walking away. And, you know, I think Sonus took that non-answer to his question as, like, soft confirmation. That's fair, Core. And I think that's really all the important stuff that happened at the end. Like, kind of that walk away was the most important thing, and then we dealt with experience, and that was kind of the end of the session. It was like, it was super fighty, which is the first extremely fighty session we've had in a while. So that was nice. Holy crap, I need water. So I talked briefly at the start of the stream about how the very social weekend that I've had. And I didn't realize it until after work today, which was also more social than my work usually is. But my voice feels like super weak and tired. So I'm gonna try to find ways to be nice to it, which basically comes down to hydrating, I guess. So yeah. Everyone really liked that it was a fighty session. It was the first time in a while. They felt like the bring the mic closer. Oh, that could work. That could reduce my need to project a little bit, but I don't need to project that much anyway. There were some of the players were talking about pacing and stuff in the sessions leading up to when we made it a streamed actual play. So like they kind of felt that this was a good turnaround. They liked the ambush directly into like some planning for like the big storm, and then they liked, you know, kind of like the two-phase fight going on here. Again, they kind of questioned that, like I said earlier, they questioned that Burning Man was so easy, and I was like, you're kind of fighting him with a pretty overpowered NPC. Like Brass is supposed to be hot shit. Although I will say, Burning Man and Brass rolled so many ones. So many ones. It was unbelievable. I don't know if I can get up to them. Probably too much to parse through here, but stuff gets buried pretty fast. But they like dropped their weapons a bunch of times and like stumbled and all sorts of stuff. So that was funny. The fight would have been a lot more dangerous if Burning Man could have landed some hits on anyone and not like whiff hits that were going towards Eve. So yeah, that was fun. That made it easier as well. But also they like I said at the start, they took the safer option here. Like going in, fighting the boss while a bunch of chaos is happening in the back line, while like people are coming in and trying to murder the leadership and like the army. If like the back lines here like turn around to try to deal with that, or like if the general or lieutenant general actually like get knocked down, that would have been a big deal. They would have had not that much help inside, and like the enemy would have had reinforcements coming to help Burning Man, and like I think in that case it would have turned into Brass storming in and eventually like saving them as they were all getting knocked down. I think that would have been the reality there. But who knows? Eve had some pretty good rolls relative to Burning Man's numerous failures. So perhaps it would have worked out anyway, but it would have been closer, I think. So that's kind of why I think why I allowed that to be a little bit easier, why I let Brass had the abilities to save people. Because that was going to be his role. He was going to walk in and save the party if they struggled here. But since they took the safer choice, that didn't happen, and instead they just saw Brass like basically tanking the boss for his entire party, absorbing like fireballs and all sorts of crazy stuff that also goes to show how strong Brass is. And yeah. So I don't know. I think it was justified. The players seemed to be okay with that explanation after I gave it, and they were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah. Now they are headed on to fight Salamander. Undeterred, which is like I was hoping to deter them a little bit, to make them a little scared with this fight. So that is a little sad, a little small sad. But they also like got lucky with some random encounters, met some folks going to talk to their allies, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited as they get towards Salamander. For now, we'll take a break. I'm gonna like drink a bunch of water, refill some water, and then we'll prep some stuff. We'll prep some travel stuff, and I'm gonna turn the rewards back on. So I will be back in a few, and until then, enjoy the Octopath music because it is so good. So good. Here's the brief. Got it.